Well, the last episode I watched, which I think was the last one of the current season, was fun. Like there was some really laugh out loud.
Yeah.
And Lilith was in it.
Oh, was she?
Yeah,
That's
in
good. I
the
was
last
wondering about
episode. So
that. Is it their son?
yes,
Okay.
yep.
That is cool.
And the
A
other
little
the other
jerk, all
kid
that.
is his nephew from Niles,
Yeah.
who's just as quirky and strange as
That actor's in that, right? Niles?
He hasn't been in it yet.
Oh. He was like a writer on the show or something originally. Alright. Anyway, let's get going before it gets too late.
Yeah. There goes that.
Hello, welcome back to episode 10 of Outside the Coach's Box. Happy Victory Friday and happy start of December. That's right, it is December 1st.
Yikes.
If you've been listening to us for the first 9 episodes by now, you know I'm Nick. Big D is my co-host. And we're here to talk about sports and stuff, mostly sports stuff. So, yeah, let's kick it off. Let's just talk about it because both of us are Cowboy fans, as everybody knows by now who's listened to the podcast. Cowboys' huge win over the Seattle Seahawks on Thursday Night Football. As I said last week, and it was agreeing with one of the NFL Network people, or I forget who it was. It was one of the ladies on might have been even Sam Ponder on ESPN. But everybody's going to say the Cowboys won, but the Cowboys are the ultimate but team in the NFL.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter that Dak Prescott, 299 yards, 3 touchdowns. Doesn't matter that CeeDee Lamb's playing out of his mind. It doesn't matter. I mean, the defense didn't play its best, but it did what it needed to do when the time mattered the most. But teams, they're always going to say something. Yeah, but they're the Cowboys. The whole world is the Stephen A. Smith of the NFL. So, yeah, let's get your take on the Dallas Cowboys. I know you were kind of traveling through most of the game. So
Yeah, through the majority of it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, once I landed in Newark, I was able to catch a glimpse on the TV. I was following on my phone until you picked me up at the airport. And then, of course, we got to see the ending together.
Greatest Son award, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Yes, greatest son. Picking me up at 11 p.m.
Dropping
last
you
night
off,
on a
picking
return
you
flight
up.
from Atlanta. Earning your keep.
Earning my keep. We don't need to talk about everything I do for the podcast already. We're really going to say earn my keep. Okay, yeah, go ahead. No, yeah.
So
back to
the organization, the Cowboy organization, is just historically one of the best in the NFL. So it becomes one of those teams that you love to hate. And
third best according to a recent poll. They were rated third best franchise in the entire world. The 92 Dallas Cowboys were ranked 8th best team of all time. So I got a lot of issues.
Yeah,
with
and I'm
that
sure
stuff.
there's a lot of current dynasties like the Patriots
Yeah.
in there and things like that. But and before I forget, I saw an interesting stat this morning about that game that Pete Carroll was 36-0 in games where his team had scored 35 or more points.
Wow.
So now they're 36-1.
Nice. There you go. It's
Um,
like the reverse Kyle Shanahan stat, which we'll touch on in a little bit. But
Yeah.
that's interesting. I actually did not know. That's a great stat. As
But
much
they're,
as we
they're,
know
that,
stats
they're that
here.
organization that people just want to truck. You know, you either love them or you hate them. And of course, I've been a fan since I was like 7, not that long ago.
Yeah, I've never really been a big fan of the Seahawks. Although I will say this: we talked about uniforms at the end of last episode. There's something to be said about that Seahawks uniform, that like kind of off blue, like I don't even know what kind of blue to call that, like cerulean. Like I have no idea. Like yeah, we're getting the colors here. That blue, the like traditional Seahawk, like logo on the shoulder pads. That's a slick uniform. And whenever I see it, I've never actually seen the guy play, because I'm a '90s kid, but it always makes me think of the Boz.
Yeah.
So I don't know why. Like obviously because I'm a sports nut and I've seen it, but those uniforms are slick. They're really good. They're nice.
Yeah, they are sharp uniforms. And I actually, in watching some of the highlights earlier this morning, just to kind of catch up on what I missed
There you go.
visually, I was kind of waiting for Steve Largent to come running out.
There you go.
Some kind of
Yeah.
old-time player that, is just a fan favorite. But yeah, but just real quick on getting back on the Cowboys that love to hate. So that's what makes people think they're the Cowboys, but because they don't want them to win, they don't want them to be successful. And listen, I'm guilty of it too when it comes to the Patriots or the Buccaneers when Tom Brady was there, that kind of thing. Where you just
What's the saying that they hate us because they hate us?
Yeah.
That's it. They hate us because they hate us.
Yes.
That's really it. Which brings me to a few things. speaking of haters, Richard Sherman, just absolute clown.
Oh, yeah.
Just
He
so
always-
unbiased in his analysis last night, which
Unbiased or biased?
biased. Sorry, I didn't say unbiased. So biased in his analysis of before the game. Cowboys don't. It's like the typical tropes too that everybody said about the Cowboys. They don't beat teams over 500.
Yeah.
This is a Seattle Seahawks team that's hungry. Like the defense is good, the offense is getting better, their line's getting healthy, and at the end of the game, the line's still injured. The defense isn't that great. Like they had their backup running back in, which Charbonnet, really good young running back,
Yeah.
to the point where you and I have talked about it a few times. He's a kid out of UCLA that I say this a lot about a lot of guys, obviously, but I wanted the Cowboys to draft him. He was right there in the second round. I thought he would have been a good complementary to Tony Pollard. He had a really good game last night.
Yeah.
But all the excuses, Richard
Yeah.
Sherman. Ugh.
But the NFL itself, I mean, more so than some other professional games, right? It's a game of matchups. And
Yeah.
Metcalf last night was just a difficult matchup
Oh,
for the
yeah.
Cowboys. He's big, he's fast, and he's physical. And obviously Blaine, who's had a great year, struggled a little bit last night. I think I saw something where he, in the first half, where he was the closest defender, he'd given up 138 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, on like 5 of 6 targets or something like that. He did have a rough first half. He got a pick. But
Almost had a second one late. On that fourth down one.
I don't make much of that, to tell you the truth. He's an aggressive corner, and I think games like that, I agree with you, it is a matchup league, and that's something I had in my notes too. Games like that are where we miss Trevon Diggs, because there's a guy who's a big physical corner who's aggressive well, so there's no saying that he would have done any different than Darren Bland. But you do have to think that if he's playing on the outside and Gilmore's playing on the other outside, that gives Bland the ability to shut down Jackson Smith and Jigba, who had some big catches and big opportunity yesterday.
Yeah.
One that got overturned, the touchdown that may or may not. I think it should have. I think on the call, Gene Steratore said it, which I always think whenever Gene says something, he's wrong because he's the index card thing. But so like when Gene Steratore said that he didn't see enough movement, I was just like, okay, there's definitely enough movement there. Which I really did. I thought like the tip of the ball hit the ground and it moved like further into his body.
Yeah, I only saw the highlight this morning, and it did look like it was starting to come out a little bit until it hit the ground, and then to your point, pushed it back in. So that's secure. The ground securing the ball.
Right, exactly. Which is the old rule. I don't know how much that plays in effect again. Can't wait to have our ref buddy on here to talk about it because there are just so many questions. But to focus quickly back on the game, more. I do have one more note on the Seahawks, and it's at the end of the game, and it's something that I'm gonna be a little harsh on Geno here, which I don't know if he necessarily deserves, because I don't know if he's that good of a quarterback still. I just don't. I don't buy Geno. I think before the game, Kirk Herbstreit says Geno just didn't forget to play football. The offensive line's been brutal. I don't know, Kirk. Is it a chance that last year was an anomaly versus the rest of his career being actually bad? That's something you got to consider. Granted, he had a really good game yesterday. He threw for over 300 yards, threw 3 touchdowns. Again, when you have DK Metcalf picking on Darren Bland, who's smaller and definitely not as strong as DK Metcalf, and clearly not as fast. He hit 22.2 miles an hour on the top speed of his 73-yard touchdown. He's a freak. You're gonna have games like that. Which again, you point to guys like Dante Culpepper in the league who benefited from Randy Moss, but is Geno just not that good? And then on top of that, the fact that at the end of the game, 4th and what was it? 4th and 7.
Yeah.
Micah Parsons shot out of a freaking cannon. It wasn't against him.
He wasn't even checked.
No, he wasn't. Which, again, I can understand self-preservation. If I saw Micah Parsons coming at me, I'm not an NFL quarterback. Yeah, I'm throwing it away. I'm ducking. I'm Eli Manning it, right? I'm myself over everything else in that situation. All right, you got this line. Take it easy. But game on the line. This is where I might have acted differently. I'm trying to make a play. I'm trying to scramble. You know, my season is proverbially on the line. They went from 6-5 to 6-6. You know, the Rams win. They jumped out of the playoffs because the Rams have beaten them twice this year.
Mm-hmm.
He just checks it into the ground. Like, yep, game over. See you later.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's easy to sit.
Play.
It's easy to sit and watch that. And when I saw it on the replay, I don't know what scrambling opportunity he had, because not only is it Micah Parsons who's having another really powerful year, but he's fast for a defensive lineman or an edge rusher or hybrid linebacker, whatever you want to call him. He is fast, and he was coming right at Geno.
Isn't Geno supposed to be fast?
But he was still in his backup. That's how quick Micah was there. He was still in his drop. You know.
I get it. But game on the line.
Yeah.
Season potentially on the line.
Yeah.
That would be ridiculous to say in like week 3 or week 4. We're now in week 12. This is where games matter the most right here. I mean, obviously in the NFL, every game matters. You only have 17 of them. But right here, right now, this game mattered more to them than it did to the Cowboys. You know, obviously the optics and everything, they matter to and I'm not to say it didn't matter to the Cowboys, because Cowboys needed to beat a good team. You can argue this is a good team or not. In my opinion, they were okay.
Yeah.
You know, which is going to devalue. I mean, people, our friends, family who listen to this were we'll just call them what they are actually. They're Cowboy haters, not anti-Cowboy fans. They're just Cowboy haters. They're going to say, well, you even said that they're not that good. Yeah, like, I'm being honest. I don't think the Seahawks are that good. But the Cowboys have beaten every team. And I'm going to just say this. When the Eagles get credit for beating bad teams close, I just want the same consideration for what I said. The Cowboys beat a bad team close, I think.
I wouldn't even get wrapped up in that stuff. It's down to one thing. You know, it's about the win. So however you win. And honestly, the Micah Parsons play last night was the first time the rush had shown up throughout the game, for the most part. I mean, they were kept at bay. They didn't get the pressure on Geno. And to me, Geno's had a resurrection, and maybe the credit goes to Pete Carroll. Maybe it's just a more comfortable environment. Maybe he finally figured it out. But you know, Geno is not going to be the guy, the quarterback who can put the team on his shoulders. He needs things to work around him.
You still need to make that play, and that was the point of my whole argument before I got off the rails there about the Cowboys. But like, you still got to make that play.
I don't know what play there was to make.
You got to try.
Running back in the flat was covered.
Right, but I'd rather take a sack trying to make a play versus just chucking into the ground is the ultimate white flag.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can have this one. Boom, in the ground, doesn't matter, game over. If I try to scramble, if I say, like, hey coach, I tried. Hey team, I tried, but this guy named Micah Parsons was on me before I could think. Like, that's the thing. There's a big difference to me between, it was like the Cam Newton play in the Super Bowl. Remember how Cam Newton went down? Like, you had Broncos diving on the fumble, Cam Newton bending over like grandma.
Like it didn't matter.
Right. That's this to me. Like, oh, okay.
I just think mechanically, I think looking at that play, and I'm not a quarterback expert by any stretch, but I thought it looked like Geno was trying to take a 5-step drop. And Micah Parsons was there at step 3.
Yeah.
So literally, he was there at step 3. So there was no way in my book, for Geno to do much of anything, which is a credit to Micah, credit to the defense.
Which, by the way, focusing back on the Cowboys and talking about quarterback play, Rayne Dakota Prescott, who, congratulations, by the way, is about to be a dad, a girl dad, but is going to be MVP this year. I'm tired of trying to like qualm it and say like, you know, he is the MVP of the league. And before we say no, I have some interesting stats. Leading into the game yesterday, I'm going to give you 2 quarterbacks. Both the records are 8-3. You have one with 2,935 passing yards, one with 2,917 passing yards, a 23-6 pass touchdown to interception ratio, 21-9, 107.4 pass rating, 96.3, 70% completion percentage, 68.1%. Do you want to guess who the other quarterback is? I mean, I kind of give you a short list because I said they're both 8-3 heading into last night's game.
Is it Mahomes?
It is Patrick Mahomes.
Is it really?
The proverbial MVP candidate, Patrick Mahomes' stats are. Which one do you think his are, by the way?
I'm going to go by the way you're leaning. I'm going to guess Dak Prescott has the better stats.
Yeah, no, he does. And after last night's game, and you can do the math, you know, you add 299 passing yards to 2,900. You got 26 touchdowns to 6 interceptions now on the season.
Yeah.
His completion percentage will probably stay around the same, 70%. His passer rating is not going to drop after last night's game, or not that much. I don't know exactly how they calculate it. But I'm tired of people saying, Patrick Mahomes is going to win it.
Yeah.
He's 8-3. They haven't really, again, talk about a team not beating good teams. Who have they really beaten?
Yeah.
Right? We want to say the Bills? Great. The Bills have looked like trash this whole season.
Yeah. Listen, is he in the pool of candidates? Certainly. I think Dak has earned that right at this point. I don't look for that from Dak. I just want him to continue to be consistently good, consistently better. And yesterday, I thought he showed a lot of leadership. I thought he took the team on his back in a way of not, when they were down late in the game. There was no panic. There were no hurried throws. There were really no bad decisions that I could see. The difference between Mahomes and Dak in my book is Mahomes within 4 minutes can throw 3 touchdowns and kind of wreck a game. Dak can do some great things. I just don't think he's there yet, but that doesn't mean he can't be the MVP this year.
Look, I don't think he needs to be there at the Patrick Mahomes level year in and year out. You got to just go based on this year. This year alone, MVP, and, for all those that say stats shouldn't matter, then we got to stop talking about stats. We just have to. But that's not the case. Stats matter in this case. He's leading the league in the NFL after last night's game. He was 1 touchdown off of Josh Allen. He threw 3, so he's up by 2 heading into the weekend.
Yeah. The most important stat there last night was that he threw for 299 yards.
He's thrown. Yeah, that one sucks for fantasy purposes. We have a bonus for 300 passing yards. Did not hit it. That does hurt. But he like I said, he leads the league in touchdowns. Over his last 6 games, he now has 20 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
20 touchdowns.
But that's the byproduct of what I was talking about. He's been making better decisions. He's had better control of the ball.
Yeah, because he's more comfortable in the offense that changed over the course of the between last year and this year, and obviously the Texas Coast or whatever offense we want to call that, that Mike McCarthy has instituted. Yeah. It took some time. After the bye week, he seems to have been a much better quarterback. I think his first 6 games, he had 6 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. So it just, to me, it's been a joy to watch, and I'm excited that he's my quarterback, and I'm gonna ride that MVP chant all season long for the rest of the season, because he has been an absolute stud this year, and he's gonna lead us to the Super Bowl. So I'm ready for it.
Yeah. I like it.
So since we're on the topic, we'll switch real quick, switch gears. We'll do Penthouse Doghouse, one of our favorite segments. And then we're going to bring it back to the NFL since we started there, and we're going to end on with picks and everything, and then we'll move on to other sports. But I'm going to go first, and I'm going to throw it out there because I just mentioned him for all the reasons I just said. Dak Prescott is in my penthouse this week, as well as the fact that he's going to be a dad. Congratulations to him. But I also have another person joining him in the penthouse, the son of the Admiral, Justin Robinson. Oh. He was named the director of player development for Duke basketball this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's great. I didn't see that.
They lost their first game with him as director of player development. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, that was a tough.
They have something about teams that start with the letter A.
Yeah, Arizona, Arkansas.
Hope they don't play Alabama.
No, I don't. That was the ACC SEC challenge. So we'll see. But yeah, no, that was a tough one. But yeah, no, I'm excited for Justin Robinson.
That's really cool.
I think a guy that's played against, while at Duke, he spent 5 years there, I think, because he also went there as a graduate. See, the old rules that you used to be able to, he had a redshirt year and then 4 years of eligibility. But during his time there, he went up against Brandon Ingram, Jason Tatum, and Zion Williams in practice. And if you want to talk about 3 guys with different skill sets and they're hard to guard, like Justin Robinson guarded 3 potential all NBA players, and it's amazing. So good for him. He played overseas for a while. I'm happy to have him back on the Duke program.
That's great.
That'll be cool. My doghouse is the Bills. It was gonna be me for my editing skills last week. I don't know if you will never hear it because originally, because I was able to edit over it, but originally during the episode I called it episode 8 again when it was episode 9. Yeah, it was just not pretty. But the Bills, after losing to the Eagles the way they did last week, fall to 500, fall out of the playoffs. And just
Well, out
yesterday,
of the playoff hunt.
well, no, out of the playoffs right now. They're still
Right
in the
now,
playoff
yeah,
hunt.
yeah.
They're out of the playoffs.
Gotcha.
They're the 10th seed right now.
I see what
in
you're
the
saying.
AFC.
Okay. I didn't think.
Um,
I just want to make sure you weren't marking them for dead.
no, they're not dead. They're just as it stands right now. The season would end today. I love that phrase. The Bills would be out of it, which again the season doesn't, so they still have time. But they're not looking good. They're trending downward. And it's going to hurt even worse because on Thursday, Von Miller got arrested in Dallas. Well, there was a warrant issued for his arrest, and he turned himself in Dallas for, I think, domestic assault, which is never a good thing against a pregnant woman. He took a book out of John Jones's, or took a page out of John Jones's book, apparently. And yeah, not to make light of it, it does not look great for the Bills if they lose Von Miller for any time of the season. Their defense takes another hit after losing.
Yeah.
Their corner, who I'm forgetting his name right now, Tre'Davious White, thank you. So yeah, no, Bills doghouse might even be there for the rest of the season. Who knows?
I saw something this morning on Von Miller where the woman involved said it was all a misunderstanding, and what was the thing she said?
Of course, she's carrying her his child. He's an NFL player. That's like the typical NFL thing to say. Oh, it's all
and misunderstanding. Nobody assaulted anybody or something like that. So yeah,
We'll see.
you wonder how it got to that point to begin with. Obviously, we weren't there, but I'm sure the NFL will suspend him at minimum. They will take action to suspend him. How long, I don't know. But
yeah, if we know, we talked about it last week. The NFL doesn't need much. Doesn't even matter if there's no evidence supporting it. Roger Goodell, end all be all is going to come down with a hammer because
this may fall under the Ray Rice category, and the first one will be soft.
Yeah, maybe like a 2 week suspension. Who knows? They do have like that domestic abuse policy in place. I think at the first infraction 6 games, but again, if like there isn't actually domestic abuse, then like I don't know what the rules are.
Yeah.
Who knows? Hey, you know what? It's a situation you shouldn't be putting yourself in, Von Miller, especially this time of year. So
obviously something happened because the police were called in there.
Yeah.
So.
But still, again, why even put yourself in a situation to have the police called? Right?
Yep. No, I agree.
Come on, Von. Let's
agree.
go. All right. Your turn. Doghouse, penthouse.
So I'm going to start with my penthouse because I have a doghouse and a half, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on a half.
Okay.
So my penthouse is actually Juju Watkins of the USC Lady Trojans.
Okay.
She's been putting on a scoring clinic
Yeah.
in early season action where she's already posted 4 games over 30 points.
Yeah.
Which puts her in rarefied air, passing Hall of Famer Lisa Leslie for most 30-point games by a freshman.
Okay.
And she's done it in 6 games.
Wow.
So
That is impressive.
That is impressive. Now, she's second only to Caitlin Clark, who's in rarefied air
Yeah.
in terms of scoring this year for women's college hoops. So shout out to Juju and the USC Lady
No
Trojans.
stats on Reggie's sister there?
No.
I'm surprised. She's a USC girl, isn't she?
She puts up 100 points in a game.
Yeah.
That's a funny story when Reggie tells it.
Yeah. He used to be known as Cheryl Miller, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to be known as Cheryl's brother, so
Yeah.
that's why I said Reggie's sister. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so my doghouse, I'm gonna put Coach Prime there.
Yeah.
Proving, in my opinion, that he's too much flash and not enough substance this year. You know, they start out 3-0. Everybody's riding that bandwagon of the Buffaloes, Colorado Buffaloes, and Prime, Coach Prime, and you know all the hype. And then they're 1-8 since.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're losing recruits left and right. You know, a 4-star quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver. So
Well, that's because of what he said about the transfer law, the rules. I think players don't leave if he doesn't say that about transferring. Also, you got to consider that he's lost 2 quarterback transfers or 2 quarterback recruits.
yeah.
When Shador's still going to be there, so like that probably plays a fact. So
It might, but they also lost a wide receiver. They lost a running back recruit, and you know, honestly, again, to your point, what he said, it's too much flash. Coach the game, play the game. Not that you can't be flashy.
would you put Lincoln Riley in the same boat as him then?
I don't think Riley goes to the edge, nor does he get as much.
No, but he's again
coverage.
he doesn't get enough coverage.
Not like Prime
At
does.
Oklahoma and then USC.
Not like
that
Prime
team's supposed
does.
to be that team was supposed to be back this year. They started off 6-0. They finished what 7-5 or 7 whatever they are right now. Yeah, I think 7-5. That's ridiculous. I'm just saying, if you're gonna,
Yeah,
if you're
but-
gonna put Prime in that, put Lincoln Riley
Prime
there.
is always flashing himself, and he's putting himself out there, and he's
Is it
like he always
is it
did. You're gonna have to
himself?
put me on layaway. It's just it's his personality, and in this case, I mean, show a little humility. I think he's going to need
Yeah.
more than Affleck to get out of this unhealthy situation, but you know, we'll see what happens. But right now, he's in my doghouse.
Hot
I like Prime, but
Hot take, they're gonna be well. They're it's gonna be the Pac-2 next year. But they're gonna be in a New Year's Six Bowl next year. Hot take.
okay.
Actually, I'm gonna say
What's it
that
going to be? The Pack what 3?
it's the Pac-2. Which again we'll touch on more on that later. I don't know what the bowl situation is gonna be next year with the 12-team playoff. So that is New Year's Six Bowl unless it's a playoff game. Then I I reserve the right to rescind my hot take there. It's New Year's Six Bowl, but if all New Year's Six Bowls are playoff games, then yeah, I have the right to rescind that take. So
That's
go
why
ahead.
you should put a time limit around hot takes. Like it should be nothing that's more than 3 months out.
No, that's no fun. All right, go ahead.
So my second one, and I don't know how much you have heard of this story, and I'm not going to delve into it because there are a lot of other potential
Oh, boy.
avenues to it.
Are we getting no new listeners with this one?
But Deadspin
Oh, okay. No, we're fine with this.
needs
Yeah,
to
yeah,
shut the hell up.
yeah.
And it is, and most people right now who are out there just looking for trouble, you're going to find trouble. You're going to find things you don't like in any situation or in any person. But to drag a 9-year-old kid out into the public eye because he was wearing quote unquote blackface, where he had half black and half red with the Chiefs headdress on it, and by the way, he happens to be Native American.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
You know, just shut up.
It's amazing that you just take some fan out of the almost hundreds of thousands of fans at an NFL game, and he's a 9-year-old boy, and you hit him hard, and then of course you hit his parents, which Deadspin's going to lose even more money than they already have when the lawsuit comes, because the dad even said the other day, it's apologies too late.
Yep.
Um,
That's a big signal.
Yeah.
That's coming to hit
yeah,
you.
no.
They're gonna have to change their name from Deadspin to Dead Wrong.
No,
or
Deadspin-
Dead Sued.
Yeah, Deadspin's been dead for a while. They came out probably around the same time Barstool did.
Yeah.
Kind of with the same mentality, you know, like, you know, a lot of fresh, fun, trying to be different than other sports. But they went more PC while still trying to be this like rebel like sports thing, which doesn't work.
No.
Like Barstool's just been like absolute juggernaut because they're what I like to say uncancelable. Like okay, cool, you try to cancel us, we're gonna do whatever we want. And it kind of hurt them when they went with Penn and they had to worry about stock pricing and everything. But since Portnoy's bought it back, they've been the same type of like YouTube just canceled like one of their or try to take videos off because of like their antics, just surviving Barstool, which I find it really funny. But they've been dead, and they tried to do something where like, oh, we're gonna you know gatekeep basically how fans should get ready for. We're like, okay, what if somebody wore black and yellow for the Steelers? Like, to me, that is one of the most ridiculous things ever, and it was Deadspin grasping at straws to try to stay relevant. Well, guess what? They're gonna have to deal with a lawsuit. I'm sure you'll have some people on their side saying, "Oh, they were right," but 9-year-old kid who, again, like you said, happens to be Native American. Good luck with that. Deadspin is dead. So
Dead Wrong, Dead Sued.
Yeah.
Just shut up. I mean,
yeah.
it's looking for the dark side in a very fun thing.
Yeah. So before we get back to the NFL and the week ahead for our picks, I have some fun things that we normally don't talk about, like hockey.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah, 2 things. So one is I love hockey. I don't think that's gonna like you say puck hockey. I know it's a joke, but like I love it for the fact that it's just a bunch of guys, toothless, gnarly guys who just want to go out there and compete.
Yep.
And this last week, the Ottawa Senators, and I think they were playing the Panthers. They had the benches cleared for a fight on the ice. It's fantastic. Could you imagine, like, first of all, the word baseball and every other sport where you're clearing the benches, you're on solid ground.
Mm-hmm.
You're like going out there, and the benches are level. So you're going upstairs to go. Hockey, you have to either like because not everybody's like opening the door and going through it. Otherwise, that's like the most hilarious fight ever. We're just like, oh, just go.
You first.
Right? But no, they're like jumping over like the wall. They're like getting in. and then they have to skate if it's like across the ice
Yeah.
to where they're going. And yeah, it was one of the best things about hockey is fighting, and that was a fantastic fight. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure fines and suspensions came from it. But also everybody on the ice at the time got a 10-minute game misconduct penalty, among other penalties. But they got 10 minutes penalty, which means they basically just went to the back because there's no way you're fitting 10 guys for each team, or not 10 guys. What is it? 7 guys on each team in the penalty box.
They should have, just to make it more
I think
comfortable.
I think it's so funny, and of course when they're in the box too, like both boxes are right next to each other, like separated by that plexiglass. So like there's definitely times where like I've been at games and you see guys like still jawing and everything, and you can't wait till both of them get back in there because you're like, oh, there's another one coming. So
what was it, goalie versus goalie at that point? Or were the
no,
goalies
you just
in
put
the
a you
box
just put
then?
a new line in basically. Although I will say I think it was the Senators or Panthers, I forget which team. They got an extra penalty. I think that like started the whole thing. One guy got like a 2-minute penalty, so one team had a power play. So it was 5-on-4 for a little bit for 2 minutes. So yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was like what hockey is to me, and like I love hockey players too, because they're the most down to earth professionals. Like in my opinion, they're not all about the flash. Probably because they don't get a lot of attention too, or at least when you compare to other sports here in America, like they don't get a lot of attention. They're not all about the flash. They're all like substance and winning, and it matters to them. They're not.
So Dion couldn't play hockey is what you're telling me.
Dion, LeBron, all those guys could not play hockey.
You also just supported the old axiom that you went to see a fight and a hockey game broke out.
Yeah, like, but that's like who doesn't want to go see hockey?
It actually is. I've been to a couple games live,
Yeah.
college and pros, and it is a fun game to watch live.
You know who could play hockey, by the way?
Who's
I
that?
bet you Shaq could play hockey. Just stick him
Oh,
in
good
goal.
God.
Like just stick him
There's
in
no
goal.
Shaq Fu in hockey.
No, but stick him in goal. He probably will be the most intimidating goalie in the history of the and then lastly, I want to say because it happened just yesterday on Thursday, of course. Penguins goalie Jari scored.
I saw that.
He scored like from the own goal. From his goal or the zone, whatever you want to call that. Again, that shows you how much I know about hockey.
Yeah.
He just shuffles it down, and of course it's empty net because they were up by I think only one at the time. And I think that's one of the coolest things that can happen in sports.
Yeah.
Like you talk about no hitters, perfect games, whatever in baseball. Incredible dunks or whatever in the NBA, blocks, all that fun stuff. That happens a lot. Scoring with a goalie, I don't know how often it's happened in the NHL, but it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's no
I
way
actually
around it.
saw a top 10 play yesterday when I was in Georgia, getting ready to go to the meeting I was going to. But and it is one of the impressive things about hockey. I mean, the twitch muscles and the hand-eye coordination has got to be pretty incredible. So that this guy he's going in and he takes a shot on goal and it kind of pops up off a skate of a defender into the air, and the guy has the presence of mind to like hit it down like a baseball bat. But from going down and trying to score here to following the reaction of the puck and then smacking it in the goal from the air, to me that's just super twitch. Super
How
high.
these guys score goals like that is amazing. Like you'll see it a lot of times, he'll like deflect it in and everything. I think half the time it's luck, but you need a little bit of that in sports.
Yeah,
so it's really cool. That's all I had on the NHL, by the way.
Hey, that's our longest hockey session.
Yeah, there you go. Puck hockey brought to you by Outside the Coach's Box. No, so let's get to the NFL, and then we can touch about other things. Unless I have stuff on the NBA real quick. Do you want to talk about that now and then get into pro and college football, or split it up?
Let's while we're kind of on the back end of football.
Yeah, that's why I want to slip the NHL in there real quick.
Actually, do NBA first because we have all the college football games.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
Plus, I don't have much to add to the NBA today.
yeah. So one thing in the NBA I want to point out: Mark Cuban selling the team for $3 billion.
Yeah.
almost 24 years after he bought the team for $280 million in 2000. Like,
it's a nice investment.
Yeah. Rumor has it he's doing it because he's running for president.
I heard it yesterday too in the airport. I was like, what?
Who knows? It'll be really interesting.
Why?
And then well, it's funny because I was with somebody and they were like, "What gives this guy the right to think that he should run for president?" Like, he's an American citizen who, like, what gave Donald Trump the right? Like, he was a billionaire that was like, "I'm gonna do it." right? And actually, honestly, like whether I don't know what party affiliation he has, I don't really care. Like he might be one of the best candidates. Like I love businessmen because they treat it like a business.
Yeah.
You know, that's really it. It depends obviously what he does once he's in there, if he is in there, but who knows? He might be an interesting candidate.
I heard something yesterday in the conversation I was in around this. It was actually at the airport with some co-workers that I didn't know were there. They were there for a different reason.
Yeah.
Everybody flying back to Newark last night.
Yeah.
So he had told me that one of the guys told me that his understanding is that the Cuban's trying to get into the pharmaceutical business.
He opened up something where it's like cheaper pharmaceuticals for
Right.
people.
But in order to play in that industry, you can't be a multimillionaire. You have to have billions. So that the sell of the
there you go.
Yeah.
There's your three.
So those are the two theories out there.
He's also like at a Shark Tank and everything now.
Yeah, he resigned
So,
from it.
amazing. And then the last thing I want to say, which is a great segue into the last thing, in the game against the Bulls, because of it was an NBA in-season tournament game. Joe Mazzulla, head coach of the Celtics, started fouling the Hack-a-Shaq. Andre Drummond up 30 in the game because of the in-season tournament rules for like point differential. They need to get to like 38 to pass the Bucks, I think, at the time in standings.
Yeah.
So, or the Pacers, I forget how it went. Amazing though, amazing
Did
that
strategy work?
No, they finished in third, which I'll give an update on the bracket literally in seconds. But it is funny that may have an interesting impact going forward, like teams doing things to get in this tournament, because it's only 8 teams, 4 on each side to get in.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see if there will be tactics down, and then like what ramifications that'll have. Because now the Bulls, first of all, I think the Bulls were a little pissed. Don't lose by 30. That's a simple message. Like, don't be down 30. But who's to know? Who's to say what happens next time they play? Like, Bulls players a little pissed. Like, they're gonna hard fouls against Celtics, and you don't want that, especially with
Bill Laimbeer fouls.
Yeah, especially with like Jason Tatum being like a potential MVP candidate and everything year after year. Like, you don't want him getting smacked in the face, like going in for like a layup or whatever, and then all of a sudden he gets poked in the eye. The ramifications could be huge just for an in-season tournament that gets you a cup and $500,000 per player.
So there's two sides to that bother me. Number one, to your point, don't lose by 30.
Yeah.
You know, if you're being outplayed, if you throw a pitch and the guy smacks it 450 feet for a homer, that's on you. Yeah. Don't be pissed because they get excited or that kind of thing.
You shouldn't throw pieces of bat at people?
Correct.
Shot out
especially
Roger.
when you're juiced up with Royce.
To be fair, the other guy was too.
Possibly. But he didn't manage that very well. And then the other side of that is the NBA or any major sports league changing or bending the rules of strategy so that they can get more offense or more whatever. Like the whole Hack-a-Shaq, trying to keep him from dunking on you, but send him to the free throw line because he absolutely sucked at shooting free throws.
Yeah.
Again, that's on you.
Making free throws, yeah.
Be a better free throw shooter. Yeah. Put the time in to figure it out.
It's one of those skill sets that has definitely gotten less and less focus over the years. But for the sake of time and wanting to get to it, we have the update. Here's the official bracket. The quarterfinals, right? Quarterfinals? Yeah, quarterfinals for the NBA in-season tournament are set. In the West, you have the Lakers versus Suns, 1 versus 4. Kings versus the Pelicans, 2 versus 3. Bucks versus Knicks, 1 versus 4. And Pacers versus Celtics, 2 versus 3. That's interesting because I think on the East side, minus the Knicks maybe, you have a little bit of a playoff preview with those 4 teams. I mean, Knicks could probably squeeze in there. Who knows? They're one of those teams that are bad, but also like the East is not so great either. At least that's been the common trope for the last 20 years. I feel like my entire life. But the really since Jordan left, which was 98, which has almost been my entire life basically. So so the East it's you got I think a lot of playoff teams, or at least a majority of playoff teams in that 4. And then the West, you may have 2. I mean, the Kings made it last year, so they could be and honestly, they're not a team that I'm questionable on. The Lakers are towards the bottom of the barrel, and obviously, again, we're in the first 2 months of the NBA season, so who knows? But they're one in this tournament. They won the quote unquote the games that matter the most for this part of the season, right? So they're number 1 in the tournament. So who knows? And you can't really count out a guy, even in his 30th year at this point. Who knows? LeBron James apparently is just defying all, you know, modern science and father time arguments because he continues to put up like 25 points a night. You know, Austin Reeves is playing out of his mind, but you play against the Suns team that's loaded. Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, you know, Devin Brooks, like it's a good team. So who knows? Like maybe the Suns were just like, let's just get in and wreak havoc from there. And the Pelicans are interesting to me because to me, I don't see them as a playoff team. I mean, they weren't last year without Zion in tow. But we just mentioned obviously Duke players. You know, Brandon Ingram's there, Zion Williams is there. Why not? Right? Like it'll be interesting at least from, you know, you get some young star power in that and some old heads. You know, and the Kings have Sabonis, I think, right? I think that's the guy who's on their team. I don't know. That's like East Coast bias right there. Although most of the teams are on the West.
Sacramento's always suffered from obscurity. I should
yeah,
say.
even when C-Wed was there, it was just like cool. Like C-Wed, Mike Bibby, Doug Christie, Peja Stojakovic. There you go. Bet you didn't know that many players on the Kings.
And who was Vlade Divac?
Yeah, Vlade Divac was there.
Yeah. Bobby Hurley.
Well, he wasn't on that team. But yeah. But no, it'll be interesting to see. Oh man, another name just popped in my head. The point guard. What is it? White Chocolate or something like that. What's the guy?
Jay Williams?
Yeah, Jason Williams. Yeah. You got to be careful because they're like all of them changed their name after the whole Jason Williams limo thing. So like even like Jason Williams from Duke goes by like Jay Williams now. Like nobody wants to be associated with that. So, but yeah, no, there's your NBA update. It'll be interesting to keep following along. Again, we focus mostly on football right now, just because that's the flavor of the sports calendar. You know, it's hard to escape. Plus,
I have so much trouble watching the NBA. I'll catch
at this
highlights.
point. Yeah,
I mean, the other night was a good example. Was it last night or the night before? And I think it involved the Lakers, where they were down 44 points at one point in the game and came back to win. I'm like, first of all, you're professional athletes. How are you getting down 44 points? Yeah. And then on the flip side, how are you letting somebody come back from 44 points?
It's just such a star-driven league that I think when those stars are out for that rest period, like, and anything can happen. Like you just said, they're all professionals. Like, 3-point is king right now in the NBA. So if you make a ton of those in that, like, you know, 8 minutes that somebody's out or 4 minutes that somebody's out, you're up by a lot. I mean, especially if you're up by like 10 heading into that period. Then all of a sudden, when your stars go out and LeBron, Austin Reeves, Anthony Davis come back in, like, okay, like it's gut check time, and then all of a sudden, you know, you let LeBron score 20, you let Anthony Davis score 20, you let Austin Reeves go off for 15, like, okay, like, again, I don't agree with there needs to be better defense, right? Because again, it takes some pride in that.
When you're in a game that has a clock assigned to it, how are you giving up a 44-point lead?
I can't imagine coaching that, because obviously we've only coached I mean, you actually coached at the collegiate level. I've coached at, you know, as high as the high school level. Like, I can't imagine being okay with my team giving up 40, even in a win, like being up by 44 and letting the team back into it. I'd be livid on the sideline. I can only imagine the coaches that I've coached for would be like losing their mind. I can imagine like literally one of them turning around to me and being like, "What's going on right now?" Like, I don't know. Like that would be a response that I give. Like, I have no clue what's going on, because that is crazy. But all right, there's your NBA update and basketball. We'll obviously get more into it once the football season's over, because we got to talk about something on this podcast now. Because we love basketball too, and obviously college basketball will be up and kicking during that time. Let's talk about the NFL.
Are we going to do anything on college basketball today?
You want to throw it in there? I mean, I did mention Duke earlier, but yeah, if you want to throw it in there.
Real quick before we get off basketball.
Yeah,
just a couple things that caught my eye in between podcasts. And number one, we didn't cover the last time, and you're gonna smirk when I say this, but number 4 Marquette, right, under Shaka Smart, beat Kansas.
I roll my eyes at that, but go ahead. Yeah.
Beat Kansas and then lost to now number 1 Purdue by only 3 points. They beat Kansas by 14. Yeah. Lost to number 1 Purdue by 3 points, and I just think it's cool to see. I love building programs, as you know. When it was coaching, I'd go to other than SJV, go to places where I could build programs. Yeah. Shaka Smart has proven the ability to do that, and he has Marquette in the top 4 right now and playing very, very well. And I know you don't like him, but
No. It's not that I don't like him. I actually do like him. His organized chaos on defense is one of the favorite things I like throwing out there because that's you try to create chaos for the other team and stay organized for yourself. Like it's a very simple concept that I don't think a lot of people understand. At least a lot of players.
You ever see his defensive drill on YouTube? He did, like all the defensive positions.
Yes,
He closes out and then he circles back and takes a charge.
Yeah, no, he's.
I don't think he's doing that anymore as he's gotten older, but
right. No, that's when he was at VCU, which that's why I don't like him because VCU upset Duke that one year. But or like again, it's a respectful hate, like Aaron Rodgers. Like I respect him, but I hate him at the same time. It's not. Yeah, he's not on that level to me because of what he did at Texas. You said he likes building programs. He didn't do jack at Texas. Nothing.
Well, he had him in the NCAA and played pretty
There's
well.
64 teams, 68 teams that make it to the NCAA. If he doesn't make it with a Big 12,
but
big time program,
did it in like a year. I don't know what happened in Texas. I don't know what happened.
Wrong coaching. Like it's
wrong,
simple.
Wrong coaching staff. So the level of player that he was getting or had
maybe he's
didn't
like
want to play to the intensity that his coach is at.
Maybe he can't recruit big time players because they don't buy into his system.
Which says something to the players about the players because this system is all about hustle and intensity on defense. So the other thing, just kind of continuing in that theme, was that Purdue won the Maui Invitational. They're currently number 1. And I'm not giving them. I'm not giving them over.
They lose to some 16 seed New Jersey team come March. So
that was my big thing. They've done this pattern before where they've been big early. Edey's he's a beast of a man, and he also has very good footwork for a guy his size.
Right. Watch him go up against some 6'4" kid from St. Pete. He'll be fine.
So we'll see where they go in March. Last year they did fizzle.
The year before that, the year before that,
but
the year before
with
that.
maturity comes wisdom, supposedly. So let's see what happens.
Sure, yeah, we'll see.
And then the other quick thing was just UConn is proving not to be the flash in the pan. I mean, they have.
Wait, hold on. Go ahead. Because I tried not bringing this up because I trust UConn so much, but they were almost my doghouse this week. Because did
the
you
football
see?
team?
No. Their basketball team, their men's basketball program, because Bryant big dogged them. No pun intended, because they're both dog mascots. But the Bryant University or University of Bryant?
Bryant University.
Bryant University.
Yeah.
Thank you. They big timed them. They basically said the reigning national champions are afraid to play them because they've offered to play them, even go there multiple times. Yet, and they're again tops in their conference for December. Literally today's December 1st, so they're top in the conference for December. And yet UConn, they said UConn's played other teams that are weaker than us in our conference. It's it's December, man. but I love it. I love the fact that the coach is just big time in them. He's they're scared of us. We're right down the road. They're scared of us. And I'm just fantastic. So yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I love when smaller teams step out. St. Joseph beating Villanova the other day. That's huge in Philadelphia. But
no Jay anymore though.
UConn is the defending champs, and they're beating everybody by double digits. Everybody. So we'll see what happens coming up. They got a tough stretch with Kansas.
Who have they played?
Well, that's the point. So that's what I'm saying. The tough stretch coming up. They play Kansas, North Carolina, and Gonzaga.
They're going to trounce
three games out of the next 4 they play. So it's going to be an interesting stretch for them.
Gonzaga is not a real team, right?
Oh, shut up.
You're
such a mid-major.
No Timmy. Yeah, no, they're done. All right, let's get to the NFL because there's so much to talk about in the NFL. There's so much to talk about in a podcast, let alone this week in the NFL. My notes for the NFL are large. Let's start with picks and go from there because we'll cover up some stuff. So, you want to start with picks this week?
Sure.
All right, go for it. Because I'm interested to see what you pick. Because I think we pick some same games and it'll make it interesting for our overall records and head to head. So go ahead.
All right, so I'll start with least favorite matchup to best favorite matchup in my picks. I went with 3 picks.
I went with 5. Nice.
Of course, you're trying to overplay.
When
you lose 3 out of the 5, it helps me.
I know it hasn't helped. That's all I'm saying. my win percentage is less than yours.
So you're shooting a shotgun in an open field. I'm in the building above you sniping. That's my
sure.
Job, right?
Cool. Yeah.
So first game, Chargers at New England. Chargers are laying 6.
Yeah, I didn't take that one.
So I have the Chargers are on a 3-game losing streak, and normally going into Gillette Stadium, no matter who you are, no matter what your record is, it's a tough place to play. But the Patriots are an absolute dumpster fire right now. And Belichick is doing nothing but throwing gasoline on that fire. He just, I mean, the guy's an amazing coach, has an amazing career, but he just can't fight his way out of this wet paper bag.
Do you think the Chargers aren't going to be playing like either they don't care because they want Brandon Staley gone, right? So I'm not saying you play to lose, right? Like no athletes doing
their
that,
piss
but
poor mentality because of Staley does not match the Patriots' piss poor mentality because of who they are right
we'll
now.
see.
So I'm going to take the Chargers. I think they have too much talent on the team comparison because at the end of the day, the game's played between the lines.
Keenan Allen may not play.
That's okay.
That's huge. That's huge.
It is huge, but again,
It's like 20 targets a
their third
game.
string wide receiver is better than what the Patriots have on the top. So I'm going to take the Chargers. I'm going to lay the 6.
You're not concerned about who the quarterback is for the Patriots? Do you even know who's starting for the Patriots? I don't think they know.
Does
yet.
Belichick know?
No.
And his whole gamesmanship is, I mean, I hate the way he addresses the press. It's funny, but it's
I love it.
It's
always
funny, but it's aggravating. It's like,
But he's always been that way. So like I don't know why I to the point it's almost funny trying to see like what reporters ask him and actually think if they. I want to know if reporters actually think they're gonna get an answer from him or just ask him ridiculous things or like poignant things to see if he'll like actually answer it. But at this point, they have to say like, I'm just gonna ask him the most ridiculous thing and get like no response and be like, okay, I tried.
yeah, because
So-
I mean, he's got that stone cold stare you
We're
down,
on to
give you.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
we're
We're
on.
on to Cincinnati. I forget what he was saying about the Mac Jones Zappy thing. I mean, he was just repeating the same thing.
We'll get there when we get there.
Yeah, those kind of things. So, and the other guy who did that often was Greg Popovich. But Pop would at least have some humor in there and give you the smirk and give you, that's a dumbass question look.
Yeah.
And then kind of smile, So, but yeah, Belichick's a kafooey.
It's the Emperor, man.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, and Emperor Palpatine.
Something dark side.
My second game is I'm going to take the Broncos getting 3.5 at Houston.
Oh, good. We got a head to head.
Yeah, Denver, I mean, they've won 5 in a row against some tough teams in there. They had Kansas City and Buffalo included in that. Sean Payton finally seems to have a rhythm and a system in place
Don't matter. Go ahead.
with the Broncos and has them bucking again.
Don't matter.
And Russ looks like he's having fun again.
Don't matter.
Relax with you, don't matter.
It don't matter.
Broncos going to Houston, get the win, elevating their position in the wild card spot. So I'm not only taking the 3.5, I'm calling for the outright. But Peyton should get Coach of the Year consideration too with what he's done for Denver.
Come on.
And then my third pick is probably the primetime pick,
This guy.
and I'm going with the percentage ratio or the percentage laws here. 49ers laying 2 in Philadelphia. I think defense travels, and San Francisco has a great one.
They're laying 3 now, by the way, just so you know.
Well, I had him at laying 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'm going to state as laying.
Oh, yeah, if you got them at 2, you got them at 2. Go ahead.
So Eagles won't go away in games, and I expect this to be a battle, but I think Purdy prevails.
Yeah, no, all right, so I'll start with that one since we're there. I took Niners money line because I too saw it -2. I was just like, that's too close for me. Because I do think that the Eagles defense is a little underrated in this one. It's also a little slap in the face that it's in Philly and they're dogs. But I've said it multiple times that Niners defense is scurry, like unbelievable scary. Like it's since they got Chase Young, who I've always been a big fan of. I have no idea what to expect from them. I hope they beat the crap out of the Eagles, like physically, whatever. Because I want the Eagles, like with one wing limping into Dallas, like whatever, like. And,
Well, that's why I'm saying the
stomp
law of
on 'em,
averages
but-
because we've been saying the Eagles have got this tough row,
Yeah.
and they have, and that so far they prevailed. But
Hey, if they win and they come to Dallas and we kick the crap out of them, it makes it even better. Who knows? That way we can be like, by the law of proper transfer properties, we beat the Niners too. So no.
I also like
So-
the one aspect of the Niners that I think, again, we talk about matchups.
Yeah.
Warner being able to probably shadow or spy on Hurts
Yeah.
because the Niners have such a great front seven.
Yeah.
Warner being part of that, and he's got tremendous speed, sideline to sideline.
I wonder what they're going to do with the tush push. I hope we see it because I have said all season long, and I haven't said on this podcast yet, that the defense should line up exactly like the offense. Like basically have a linebacker under center and then just like push him. If you have like the same force, I'm assuming the guys on defense
and like the back end, like linebackers, are stronger than running backs in some cases, not all cases.
Yeah.
So like, if I had 3 linebackers pushing versus a quarterback, tight end, and a running back, like I gotta imagine maybe one tight end and linebacker cancel each other out, but like the push of like the running back and linebacker, the linebacker wins out. So I don't understand why they wouldn't just like kind of like a meeting in the mind, meeting in the middle, like battle of the bulge style, like
Yeah.
just go same thing, same style, like line up exactly the same. Have the linebacker literally like under the nose tackle's ass, being like, "All right, when you say hike, I'm going." Like why not? Give it a try. Nothing else has worked.
I don't know. I think the Eagles have an advantage every time though because of Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, he's an amazing center.
He's an amazing center, but his eyebrows are offside every time he's over the ball.
Be nice to Jason Kelsey.
So there's that sneaky advantage, that wisp of an eyebrow. I think is enough pressure on the defense.
You got to watch out because he is associated with Travis, and we know a group of like mad people who will be all on you because who Travis is associated with.
Yeah.
So like.
Voldemort.
Voldemort. I jokingly say to new listeners, but I like the pot. We're 10 episodes in. I like to keep going, and we can't keep going if a group of like people out there are just like absolutely hammering us. Maybe, who knows? Maybe publicity. Maybe Josh Kelsey. We'll find out. Who knows?
No,
maybe we'll get like thousands of listeners.
They have their own. The Kelsey brothers have their own podcast. Maybe we get to the point where we can sit in the same room together.
I don't want to.
We'll come to some competition where the bet is you have to shave an eyebrow.
You want to compete against against the Kelseys? What are we competing against?
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Like eating contest, we're gonna lose. Like any athletic competition, we're gonna lose.
I don't know. We'll see.
Who do you? All right, you're on
Bowling.
I'm gonna bet Jason Kelsey is a good bowler.
Nah.
First of all, he's a man of many talents. He's a good center. He's an NFL All-Pro Hall of Fame center. He has releasing yet another Christmas album where he sings beautifully. And I hate commenting on this because he's an Eagle, but like, what the hell? Which, by the way, speaking of the Eagles, Deshaun Jackson is officially retired. He signed with the Eagles and retired the other day.
Oh,
That's
nice.
a fun little note that I have. But no, yeah. So I have Niners.
Did he
money line
drop
against
his
the Eagles.
retirement certificate?
Yeah, right before the goal line. I have Lions -4 versus Saints. I think the Lions are going to be playing pissed off and ready to go.
Yeah.
There's no way you get trounced in the Thanksgiving game, the 1:00 Thanksgiving game, and come out the next day flat, or next game flat. The game I have after that, I have Chiefs laying 6 versus the Packers. It's fascinating. It is Patrick Mahomes' first time in Lambeau, and it's really funny because obviously like it's without Aaron Rodgers, so like that matchup we've never gotten, we still haven't gotten.
Yeah.
Even this year when they played the Jets, so it's fascinating. But the Chiefs are going to come out. They need to get back on track. They need to get back on track, and they need to look good. Which brings me to my point of my next bet, which is Kelsey anytime touchdown scorer. He needs to get back in the end zone. He had a good game last week without the aforementioned Voldemort. I guess that's such a negative term to use for her. We'll call her Blondie. There you go,
Only
Blondie.
in the sense that her name shall not be named.
Yeah, we'll call her Blondie. Without her there, which probably sounds derogatory too. Great, we're just drawing the ire of that whole army. Come at us, Swifties. Yeah, I did it. I had to. I tried not to. I was just like, let's do it. So yeah, Kelsey anytime touchdown scorer, and then our head to head, Houston -3.5. Like I said, it don't matter what you say about the Broncos. C.J. Stroud is a dude, and he's going to go out there, show up, show out. Tank Dell's going to have a great game, and the Houston Texans are going to be winning that game and giving me a leg up.
I think Russ might still prove he's got some cooking to do, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see. But some quick notes on the NFL that one hit. I actually saw the stat, and I mentioned it earlier, Kyle Shanahan stat of the day. Kyle Shanahan is 1-30 when trailing by at least 3 entering the fourth quarter. 1-30 in his career.
Wow.
Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it? NFL
Trailing
head
by
coach,
at least 3, he's
trailing by
1-30.
1-30.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
I think it was at least 3. I don't want to say 3 because to be trailing by 31 times and lose 30 times by trailing by just 3 would be too crazy. But if that's a stat, I think the stat was at least 3. But if it was 3 exactly on the nose, like
I said it earlier. Is Shanahan a little overrated? You know, I said it in earlier episodes. Like, at what time do we have that conversation? Yeah, that's my note there. I got 2 more notes if you want to add anything in there. 2 more notes on the NFL this week. One is a little bit of a review. And this actually, I was supposed to be part of my doghouse, but the Eagles fans continue to be the worst. But at the same time, again, Shaq Lawson put his hands on a fan, so that's not going to be great. That's the bill. I don't know if you saw that.
I did not.
Yeah, so during the Bills game, apparently one Eagles fan took it upon himself to start talking trash and crossed the line, I guess. I don't know. That's according to Shaq Lawson.
Are you surprised an Eagles fan?
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like, according to Shaq Lawson, he crossed the line, but who knows? And Shaq Lawson came, like, right to the point where the fans are. Like, he was on the lower level,
Mm-hmm.
and he gave him a nice little shove. But, you know, he'll probably get fined, suspended. Who knows? I haven't seen anything from that yet. And then,
Well, everything's mic'd up, so they may have the ability to hear what the fans
oh,
say.
they probably will. And it doesn't matter though. Once you put a hands on the fan, like it's just not allowed.
Yeah,
it's
but
not acceptable.
Did he drop the N word on him? Did he things like that?
So it was somebody of the same ethnicity as Shaq Lawson. So I don't know if that matters. I'm not saying it shouldn't matter. I just don't know if it matters to the NFL.
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be restricted to that, but
No, and the last thing, actually, 2 more things I want to talk about. Turf versus the NFL continues to be a thing as Phillips from the Dolphins tore his Achilles in that game against the Jets on Black Friday.
yeah.
But coincidentally, the Cowboys are 20-1 now on turf, and their stats on turf versus stats on grass, they flashed it during the game last night. They're amazing on turf and suck on grass, apparently. Which, ironically enough, 2 teams that we play in the playoffs or have played in recent years and haven't had success with, Niners and Eagles, both play on natural grass. So that's something fascinating. In fact, Cowboys didn't really know what to do with that. I hope they sign Shaq Lawson and all, or not Shaq Lawson, Shaq Leonard. That crossed my Shaqs there.
Yeah.
Because that'd be cool. He met with the Eagles yesterday. I think he's reported as he's favoring Dallas. So.
Let's see what your boy Jerry can do with that.
Jerry. Yeah, no, we'll see. And the last thing I want to bring up, and it's your boy. It's your, you know him. You went to high school, not with him, because
Aaron?
Aaron Rodgers started his 21-day window 79 days after tearing his Achilles. Started his 21-day practice window to come back and play. I think it'd be really funny if the Jets just treated him like Byron Leftwich for the rest of the year. You know, when he was at Marshall. So he throws a pass to the whole, like, offensive line, carries him down the field, and, like, you know, that's that. Just throw passes, Aaron. I mean, of course, the offensive line has to protect him, and that's a whole nother issue, but that'd be really funny if they did that.
I don't see him actually playing unless the Jets are viable playoff candidates, which I don't see that happening. Because they still have to get to the point before Aaron Rodgers could play. And Jets, as they are currently constructed on the offensive side, are just not good.
No, they're not. And, you know, I think he said it, even it's contingent on him coming back, or his comeback is contingent on where the Jets are in the playoff race. Speaking of playoffs, though, we're almost there. College football playoffs right around the corner. We got championship weekend. We got Army-Navy game next week, which we're going to spend a whole episode probably talking about Army-Navy. But for now, we'll leave them off our ticket here to talk about the games this week, which, again, championship week should be fun. Just as a quick review, here's the top 10 for college football playoff rankings. You got Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Washington 3, Florida State 4, Oregon 5, Ohio State 6, Texas 7, Bama 8, Mizzou 9, Penn State 10. I have a problem with 9 and 10 being those two because they're both 2 lost teams.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's relevant because the teams you have in front of them, there's enough chaos there already, potential, and we'll get into that. Actually, let's just get into it now. Why not? I do want to say Louisville fell to 14, which is funny because it will play into the playoff scenarios here. So right now you have Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and Florida State in. They are all playing this week.
Yep.
They are playing teams, for the most part, ranked just below them on this top 10 list. Georgia plays Bama at number 8, or 1 versus 8, in the SEC championship game. Michigan plays Iowa, which I think is like 11 or 12. I forget where they fall on this list. I only do top 10s, but I probably should do. Actually, hold on.
I can tell you. I got it here.
I have it right here as well. So
So Iowa is actually 16. Sorry. Well,
Yeah.
but they play Iowa, 2-loss team, 16. Then you got what happened here? Then you got Washington playing number 5 Oregon, and FSU playing number 14 Louisville. All those games mean so much and can create so much chaos.
They could.
Because and somebody floated out there. There's a chance that the SEC champion is not in the playoff this year.
I don't see that.
I do. I'm buying into it. Again, we've talked about Michigan and Washington losing and etc. But we really haven't talked about Georgia losing, right? Say Georgia loses. All right, Georgia loses. So now Michigan's number 1.
Georgia loses in what kind of game?
Well, hold on. Georgia, just focus on the fact that Georgia loses. They're a one-loss team.
Georgia doesn't lose.
Just listen to
Go
me right
Dogs.
now. Georgia is a one-loss team, so undefeated Michigan drops them, assuming they beat Iowa. They jump them. They're 1. Undefeated Washington jumps them. They're 3 right now. They beat 2. Undefeated FSU jumps them. They're number 4, so they beat the 3. So Georgia drops at least 4, right? Who's to say Texas, who beat Alabama and would win the Big 12, doesn't deserve that? Because again, they're playing this week too. I didn't mention them. They're playing. If they win the Big 12, they're a one-loss team. They beat Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia. The committee's got to consider that. Now,
Yeah, but you're doing that in a vacuum because you're basically telling me there that Florida State's going to beat Louisville, that Washington's going to
Yeah.
beat Oregon.
It's just that we're doing playoff scenarios. That's
I
literally
know,
gave you.
but
a
all you're
scenario.
doing is giving Georgia the loss. When to your point, there's so much chaos around it. What if Florida State loses,
That's
Washington
not the
loses,
scenario right
Michigan
now.
loses?
We're doing playoff scenarios. We can get to those in a sec, but there is a legitimate chance that the SEC champion is not in. I don't think it happens because on this podcast I've said several times, the committee loves the SEC.
Yeah.
And they will do whatever it takes to get their best conference in the playoffs. And again, it doesn't change next year because when this expands to 12, 13, 14 are going to be pissed that they don't get it.
Sure.
Right? But Texas would have a legitimate claim. Granted, yes, they lost to Oklahoma, and that's a bad loss, and the committee will probably focus on that as a reason to keep them out. But Texas would have a claim to that 4th spot. In addition to that, can you put Georgia in and not Bama if Bama beat
Yes.
them in the SEC? Oh, come on.
Yes.
They're both one-loss teams.
If it's a 28-27 game and Bama squeaks out a 1-point win,
Okay.
yeah, you can.
But you're still
Because-
you're
and again,
keeping the SEC champion out of so this
But the
proves my
committee,
point.
the
I said
committee has
SEC
shown
champion.
already, and we talked about this before. Historically, since the brief history of the committee, they will favor teams that are their shining star. And Georgia right now is that shining star. They have given
Okay.
that benefit of the doubt to Alabama in the past.
But you still prove my point though. The SEC champion can be kept out of the playoffs.
Can be,
It can and most likely will.
yeah.
Most likely will.
I don't. Think
If those 3 teams win, again, it's a scenario. If those 3 teams win and Bama beats Georgia, you're saying Georgia deserves it over Bama, although Bama's the SEC champion.
Listen, the Pope could convert to Islam. I don't think he's going to.
Yeah. Okay. That's you're apples and triangles there, my guy. That is ridiculous. The other scenario we have is obviously Ohio State potentially getting in despite losing. Obviously
Yeah, that's not happening.
FSU would need to lose to Louisville. I think Washington would need to lose to Oregon. That opens up 2 spots potentially. Ohio State sneaking in there, maybe even Texas sneaking in. There's just so much chaos that could happen. If Michigan loses to Iowa, does Ohio State jump Michigan? Would Ohio State have a better claim?
If Michigan lost to Iowa,
Yeah.
are we still going with the scenario that Alabama beat Georgia?
No. Sure. We'll do both. Both. Alabama loses to Georgia. Alabama beats Georgia. Does Ohio State get in over Michigan?
So if Georgia wins and Michigan loses
To Iowa.
I don't
We need to
think
make
I
sure
don't
that-
think Ohio State gets in.
Really?
If
Iowa's their offense is historically bad this year, right?
yes, but
Okay,
their defense
interesting.
is historically
Yeah.
good.
No, and Michigan beat Ohio State. That's fair. I'm just
And Michigan beat Ohio State. I think Ohio State would have a hard time getting in no matter what because and there's all these moving parts. There's
Yeah.
this chaos, potential chaos, like you said. But if Alabama beat Georgia and Iowa beat Michigan, Georgia and Alabama are probably going to be in that top.
Yeah,
four.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah, which
That's-
means you don't have room for Ohio State.
No, you don't. But again, that's the scenario where Bama wins. If Bama loses, I think Ohio State. I think the committee
again, we've talked about it earlier.
I
Is
think they
looking
would probably
for
put in Oregon and Washington.
no, because one of those teams has to lose.
Right.
No, they
But
won't,
but
they-
if hear me out now in these
I don't
in
think they
these
do that.
hypothetical, crazy chaos things.
Yeah,
Washington, who beat Oregon earlier in the year,
yeah,
then loses to Oregon in the Pac-12 in a
Yeah.
phenomenal kind of game, up and down the field kind of
Okay.
game. Why wouldn't they try to get round 3?
So that's what you just said in the epic kind of game. What if Washington or Oregon comes in there and just absolutely smacks
Right, it's a different
Penix
story.
around?
You just changed my scenario.
Right, I did. Like you've been doing this whole time.
I
They're
have
called
not.
scenarios for a reason. You're like, yeah, but what if? Yeah, that's another scenario. Yeah, that's exactly how this game is played.
All I'm saying is Ohio State has a real hard time getting it.
I don't disagree, but them being only at 6 versus 7 or 8, I think gives them a better shot. I think it gives them a better shot over Texas.
All right, here's how they get in. Georgia, Michigan, and Florida State all lose.
I don't think all of them need to lose.
No, all of them lose.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you're giving me a scenario. Okay, I'll
I'm
listen to
giving
this
you a
scenario.
scenario.
Yeah, but
I'm giving you a scenario. Right?
yeah, but what
So
is
they all
this?
lose.
Go ahead. Yeah,
Oregon
Wow.
and Washington play to a tie.
you can't play to a tie.
Sure.
No, you can't. That's not a legitimate scenario.
just saying.
You're ridiculous. All right, let's just get to our picks. It'll be really interesting this week. We picked every single major Power 5 championship game in the AAC.
Yeah, you blew out my pickle meter. I'm not used to picking this
Yeah,
many games.
well, hopefully it sways in my favor. Right now, I do have the lead in our picks segment for college. Again, we're going based on win percentage, not total wins. So I'll start this one. I actually went with Oregon winning. Well, actually, I didn't go with them winning. I do think they're going to win. I really like Bo Nix. I think that game earlier in the season was really good, but I think it adds incentive to Oregon. And not incentive. I think that they're going to go in this with a little more juice. And they're getting 9.5. So it's like, yeah, why not?
It's actually up to 10 today.
There we go. Beautiful. But I got a 9.5.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take the 9.5. And
No, Oregon's laying. Oregon's the favorite.
Are they? Oh, I don't know why. Maybe I'm.
That's what's crazy about it. They're favored
Dumb
by
or
9.5,
dyslexic.
10 points against a team
I'll still
that's
take
ranked
it.
higher.
I'll still take it.
And
Minus.
undefeated.
I'll take it. Minus 9.5. I'll take it. I think Oregon. I do really think Oregon's gonna be playing with some ridiculous amount of juice.
Okay.
So yeah, I messed that one up, but I'll still take the minus 9.5.
I mean, yeah, I'd take Oregon plus 9.5 too. But
Yeah, honestly, I thought that's what it was, but I guess not. That'd be a crazy swing if it was plus 9.5, and now it's minus 10.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
better went hog wild on Oregon. I took Texas. I think Texas is going to win versus Oklahoma State. This is on me. I really haven't seen Oklahoma State play a whole lot, so I didn't feel comfortable with whatever line. So I just took the over 55.5.
yeah,
I think Big 12 is going
Texas
to be a
is
shootout.
favored by 15.5 points in that game.
Yeah, exactly. I knew the line was big. That's why I said I didn't feel comfortable. I don't know. I know they have a stud running back, but I
Right.
don't know anything else about Oklahoma State.
Yep.
So that's why I'm taking the over. I do think Texas. I could have taken money line. I could have but that's not fun. So I'm gonna root for the over 55.5. I'm taking Georgia money line over Bama. Look, I think both coaches are phenomenal. I think both teams are phenomenal. I just think Georgia has too much. Bama is good, and if they didn't lose to Texas, they might have a chance of still being in the playoffs. But unless they win this game, they're not going to. Which again might mean that there's a little bit more juice on them. But yeah, I'm going Georgia money line. We'll say the AAC for later. Actually, screw it. I'll just throw it in there. SMU versus Tulane. I took the over 47 because after seeing SMU decimate Navy, I'm like they can score. So why not take the over 47 at the time?
Yeah. Yeah, they both have been averaging about 30 points a game. So
Yeah, this is the tough one because FSU has showed resilience. I mean, they were down in that Florida game for a good portion of the game. They came back and won with their backup quarterback. And again, you're in college, so we've talked about like stockpiling talent at positions. Like you can afford to do that.
mm-hmm.
So their backup is probably not as bad as like an NFL quarterback backup would be, like a Mason Rudolph or a Drew Lock or Matt Castle when he was in there. Again, they're NFL quarterbacks, so they're good, but they're not great. In college level, you can afford to be good and not great and still do really well. And it's hard to pick against them, but I am taking Louisville plus 2.5. I don't think that they
I don't think FSU could sustain. They beat a bad SEC team last week. I don't think they can beat a good to an okay to good ACC team in the ACC championship game. Plus, I'm sure Louisville's really looking to play spoiler because I think they got spoiled last week a little bit by Kentucky. Because again, if they only had one loss going into this, we could be talking about them potential playoff spot, but it's not meant to be. And then finally, and I struggle with this one because I didn't want to take it. I'm actually surprised to see on my notes. I thought I changed it, but apparently I didn't. I'm taking Iowa plus 23.5. I think that is way too much to be giving a team that has that good of a defense. I mean, Michigan's got a good defense too, but I think we're going to see like a very sluggish Big Ten championship game. I mean, we saw it last week. Michigan and Ohio State, were slow to get going. Once they finally did, the fireworks were going. I don't think you're going to see the same here because the one team doesn't have fireworks. They have like those little sparklers that like probably go out in like 3 seconds. So I thought I changed it, but yeah, I'm gonna go with it. Iowa plus 23.5. Let's go Hawkeyes, baby.
Interesting.
Yeah. For the sake of it, go ahead. Go with yours.
All right, so starting with the action tonight in the Pac-12, I had it at 10. I still think 9.5 is too much. So just for the sake of our point, what you had put out there, I'll take Washington plus 9.5 in the Pac-12 championship. Both teams can score, and both teams can give up a lot of points.
Yeah.
So Oregon may win, but Washington covers is what it comes down to in the battle of the Knicks versus Penix. And this could be, I think, obviously the very first possible crack in the current top 4.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Again, this weekend, I can't remember one of the better weekends in college football in the playoff era. Maybe 2017 when things were going wild, and I think that was the Cardell Jones year where Ohio State ended up winning. But this year, I mean, there's just so many good teams, which again is why they need to expand to 12, and then again we'll be having this discussion next year about 13, 14. So go ahead.
For Saturday's action, and there's a lot of it, and I am actually excited to see the Oregon-Washington game tonight, and to your point, to see some of the action that's going on this weekend. But I'm going to start with the big dogs. Georgia laying 5.5 versus Alabama. I think Georgia has better overall talent and a better balance, which will propel the dogs to an SEC championship and help them hold on to that number 1 spot heading into the postseason. So Georgia laying the points. I'm going opposite of you in the ACC. Florida State minus 2.5. I think the Noles will remain undefeated and take home the ACC championship at the end of the day. I just think they're the better team. However, this is an added bonus for me, which I had done prior to you telling me we needed to pick all of the championship games.
Yeah.
But staying with the same game, I'm taking the over 48.5 in that game. This should be, I think, an entertaining game.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit up and down. At the end of the day, I think like a 31-24 Florida State win. So taking the over.
All right.
In the Big 12, and this, actually the next 3 games, I'm going with the dogs.
Okay.
So Big 12, I'm taking OK State with the points, 15.5. It's a lot of points in a game where a lot of points will be scored. Kind of the opposite of what you were saying about Michigan and Iowa. There'll be a lot of points scored. So to be able to have a spread of 15.5, you're always going to be guarding against the backdoor cover, which is very, very possible in this game. Big 10, I too am taking Iowa plus the points. Similar logic to the Big 12 matchup, except on the opposite end of the spectrum, where I think Iowa's defense is stout and stingy. They may not be able to score a lot, but they keep other people from scoring very well. So to your point, I think it's going to be a little bit of a slugfest. Iowa, I put in here they may not win. They will not win.
No, yeah. Right.
But the defense will keep them closer than the spread, for sure.
Yeah, that's the one game where I can honestly say, like, I can give scenarios. And don't get me wrong, if Iowa, anything could happen, right? Iowa can pull off a miracle and win that game, but if somebody were to tell me, even from the future, like future Nick comes back and says, with the sports almanac and says, Nick, put everything you have on Iowa today. They're going to win this game. I'd be like, whatever, future Nick. Like, get out of here. So, yeah, no, I'd have a hard time believing that. So, are you done with your picks?
No, the last one's the AAC, real brief. I'm taking SMU plus 3.5, and the real simple logic is here. Both teams average about 30 points a game. Both teams can't score. I think the hook could literally be the difference here. That it's 3.5. This could be a 3-point game. So
You didn't want to take the under?
No,
I was kind of hoping you would.
No.
Go head. I took the over, but chicken.
like I said, you blew out my pickle meter. I'm not used to doing all
I
these
know,
picks.
right?
I'm trying to, my sniping has just become a shotgun.
I'm hoping the change throws you off a little bit. Any fun tidbits you want to throw out before we close up shop?
No, I think that's it. Looking forward to the action, like I said.
All right, cool. Then, as always, on this day in 1973, Jack Nicklaus finishes at 13 under par, 275 to win the Walt Disney World Open by one stroke from Mason Rudolph, not the same Mason Rudolph mentioned earlier, and he becomes the first player to reach $2 million in PGA Tour career earnings. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and follow across all platforms.
Have a great weekend.
Cool.
I can turn this up because this is one of my peeps.
Yep, I have to edit this.